kind words. So I think the very first thing is there's a little box in front of me. Don't know whether that box is still there or it's going to disappear. But I'm sure you can see me. Yeah, Margaret?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for that. I guess the very first thing, Margaret, I would like to say is the amazing work the Inner Space in Bradford is also doing for some years now. And even after the lockdown, the number of online events all of you have put together as a whole team of Bradford Inner Space is just amazing and amazing. So really, from my end and everybody from this end in Manchester, we would really like to say big thanks to all of you, the Bradford Inner Space team, for putting all these online events. And then secondly, like Margaret, again, I would say big thanks to all of you who are joining in this afternoon, because she's right, it's a sunny day, a warm day, people would want to be outside, but then you're all tuned in. And so big thanks to each and every one of you for joining in on this evening's session on the art of thinking clearly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some thoughts to begin with, and then I'm going to show you some of the PowerPoint presentation to kind of help us through the understanding of clear thinking. Just double checking, you can hear my voice. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with my voice. That's the first and foremost important thing. Thank you.
None at all, it's great.
Thank you, thanks for that. So I think the very first thing is, why do we need to create or to have clear thinking? What is the need for it? What is the reason for it? And what I would say is that each of our thought is like a seed. And then depending on the quality of that thought, the seed, so is the flower and the fragrance that comes out. And in our case, the seed is the thought. So depending on the quality of our thought, so will be its outcome, which means the fruit, and the fragrance, which means the experience that I have. And so what that illustrates to us is that it is so important that we take care of the kind of thoughts that we create for our own self, for people who are in our life, and even thoughts which are connected to the situations that comes into our life. Because all of those thoughts are like seeds which I'm planting, and they then create the outcome, which basically is what I experience. So once I realize the importance of that, then I think it's so clear that let's keep the mind, let's keep my thoughts clear. Let me have where in my thoughts there is clarity, there is wisdom, there is understanding, and there is calmness within it, because then I will know for sure that the outcome will be one that gives me, not only myself, a positive experience, but it will also give people who are in my life positive experience. Having said that, I'm also very much aware that there are many times where we actually say to ourselves, the seeds, which are the thoughts that I'm thinking, it's not what I want to think, but it's coming as a result of people who are in my life and the situations they are triggering my thoughts to be of that kind. And I can justify that. And I believe in that also, that we affect each other. The situations that comes in our life affects our life and makes us think in a way which we do not want to think. So therefore the question is, what do I do with them? How do I still say to myself, be aware of the seeds of your thoughts, because they become your experience sooner or later? How can I make those changes? And so we really need to look for the solutions and the methods whereby we are able to make the difference. Because in many, many ways, we kind of live in two worlds. One is the inner world, the world which is basically my own thoughts, which I generate. And the outer world is where I see things, I hear things, and they make me think as a result of it. So the inner world and the outer world should be same at some point in our life. But what we are finding more and more now is the outer world is having a very, very big impact in my inner world, in the way I think. So again, we need to find solutions and the methods to bring about the other way around, where my inner world impacts the outer world. And no matter what is coming from the outer world, my inner world is strong enough to deal with it in a right way and bring out a positive outcome. So how do we do it? So if I can hopefully now share with you some of the slides, and finger crossed, I'm not that good at technical, but I should be able to do it. So just give me a second or so and see if I can do it. Okay, here we go. So what I need to do is just give me a second again. Can you actually still see me? Or have I lost you, Margaret?
I can still see you.
And can you see the screen also, Margaret?
No, not yet.
Okay, so what I need to do, I just need to go back again. And if I do this, and hopefully now you can see me.
We've got the, yes.
And you can see the screen also. Lovely, thanks for that, Margaret. So basically, we're going to look through some of the slides now, which are basically the method that will help us to bring about clear thinking into our life. And the very first thing I need to understand is that let me become the observer of my own thought. That's the very first thing. Observe your own thoughts as you create. Where can I do that? Where can I observe my own thoughts? And the place where I can do that is through the screen of my mind, because on the screen of my mind, I project different kind of thoughts that I create, and that tells me basically what is going on inside me. But rather than get stuck with it and get caught up in it and think too many thoughts about it, to begin with, let me just observe those thoughts which appear on the screen of my mind. Having done that, then the very next thing to do is to be able to say to myself, having observed, it's me who is creating it. I am the one who is actually making those thoughts appear in my life. So what I need to do is find a method to respond to those thoughts which are going on in my mind. So it's a case of observing it, recognizing that I am the one who is creating those thoughts, and then finding a method to respond to those thoughts by changing the way I'm thinking of those thoughts. So if I were to look at the screen of my mind and just imagine that's the screen of your mind, nothing there. But if within me, I do not have, my mind is not clear, so it's unclear. I'm confused. I'm disturbed. It's a bit of a mess within my mind, in my thoughts. So this is what I can see on my thinking pattern within my mind. What would be the seeds as a result of my thoughts are unclean, disturbed, confused, in a state of mess? How would those seeds look like? And what will be the outcome of those seeds? And I'm just going to put a few of those to begin with. Dishonesty, anger, poor communication, blaming, impatient, criticism, reaction. What actually happens is that when my thoughts, when my seed of thoughts are connected to any of those, then the outcome of that will basically become a negative outcome. And each one of us, we experience this in our life now and again, or quite often to some degree, especially now, because so much has changed in the way we were living in the world now. We lost that freedom with which we used to live. It's almost like we are told what to do, what not to do. And that often creates this way of thinking. So we blame individuals, so we blame people, we criticize them. There's a feeling of anger, there's a reaction as a result of it. Just take one example. You know someone quite well, and they basically say a couple of words to you which are unkind, which comes across as criticism. And you walk away and you initially say to yourself, well, it doesn't really matter. He or she said what they thought. Let's forget it. And you walk away from that. After a few moments, your mind goes back to that seed of that thought that you created. And you begin to say, you know what? I can't understand why that person, why he or she behaved in that way, criticized me, insulted me. What was the cause for it? I don't understand that. And so now what I've done is from that one seed of thought, I have multiplied by thinking a few more thoughts. And then if I'm not careful, it actually increases to the point where I'm beginning to get irritated by that incident that happened with that individual. I begin to start saying to myself, she had no right to say that. He had no right to call me that. So gradually there is that irritation. I'm getting annoyed. I start blaming that person. There's some level of reaction going on inside me. And if I'm not careful, I begin to get angry internally. Not with that person yet, because that person is no longer there, it's gone. It's not in front of me, but I'm actually angry with that person in my own mind. Now, that's not the end of it. Basically, what happens next? You could be with somebody who really cares for you, who loves you, who thinks a lot of you, and that person asks something from you. Because your mind is disturbed, there's a reaction internally. You're angry, you actually end up saying something wrong to that person who loves you, who cares for you, who thinks a lot of you, because your mind was not clear, became unclear, disturbed, confused as a result of that seed which has come from outside, criticism, but the mind accepted it, thinking I can deal with it, but I wasn't able to. I allowed it to grow from one thought to many thoughts. I think, I rethink, I carry on rethinking and rethinking. There's a blame going on, there's a reaction going on, there is a disturbance going on, and I'm getting basically angry. And the worst thing now is I am in double trouble. And what I mean by double trouble is, first, my mind is in a mess because of that one person, he or she made that comment, that insult. And secondly, the person who really cares for me, I have disturbed them because I reacted simply because I wasn't in the right place inside. And so that's why I call it double trouble. I'm trying to deal with two difficulties instead of one difficulty. Reason, my mind, my thoughts were not clear. They were disturbed. They were unclear internally. And thereby I allowed this to happen. And this is not easy. I know I'm aware of it, that what I'm saying, they are not easy things to do in life where I can switch off that quickly, put a stop to it in my thoughts, in my mind. But initially it's important, like I mentioned earlier, to observe what actually is going on the screen of my mind. And if I can do that, if I'm able to identify these things which are going on, and I put label to it, that this mess which is going on is because I do not have the control over my thoughts, the seeds. And thereby, I once again remind myself that the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of my life. In other words, it matters how I think. The thoughts that I create, depending of its quality, so will be its outcome sooner or later. Therefore, it matters how I think, in which way I think. I won't go into so many others because it will take too long. The dishonesty, impatience, poor communication, all of these things actually create the wrong seed, the wrong thought, which then creates a negative outcome, a negative experience in my life. So what do I do? How do I change this? How do I put on the screen of my mind that clarity, that clear way of thinking, that way in which I am in control of my seeds, my thoughts, from the place from where I want to think. And equally, when it's coming from outside, I'm still strong enough to deal with it and not create a mess in my mind. You know, often we say, today my head is in pieces. I can't think straight. I'm all over the places today. I just not able to make sense of what I want to think and what I want to do and how I want to do. I've lost that clarity. How do I bring it back? And it takes time. I'm not saying this is done overnight, but I need to find a solution. And there is a solution. There is a method to do it. And so the way to do it is, if I just change the slide now, again, go back to the screen of your mind where you have recognized the importance of your seeds of thoughts because of its outcome and experience. And you say to yourself, let me bring about clarity. Let me bring about calmness in my thoughts. Let me bring about inner strength. Let me bring about that positive mind, which can then deal with my internal world that I live in and the external things which are coming on my way. And the way I can do that is I begin to plant the seeds which are like appreciation, understanding, trust, respect. There's a little block in front of my screen, so I can't actually see the word, but I'm sure you can see the word. So I got no idea because I can't see it here. Honesty, compassion, humility, kindness, forgiveness, and the most important, love. These are just few, by the way. There are more than this, which I would say they are the seeds when I think clearly. These are the seeds that I want to plant in my life. These are the seeds, these are the thoughts which I want to introduce in the way I think about myself, in the way I think about people who are in my life, in the way I would think about the situations that I'm facing in my life. These are the ones that I need to apply, I need to work on. How do I do it? What is the way in which I can do it? I need to give some time to each one of those, I can call them my inner qualities, my true self, my real being. This is what life in a way is, where I work with each and every one of them. And so how can I start to introduce this way of thoughts, thinking, which brings that deeper clarity and clear mind? Let's just look at some of them. Again, it's too many to explore this evening, so I'll just take some of them. Start with appreciation, something which we can do every single day. As soon as you wake up, the very first thought to create, the very first seed to plant in my life is not to say, oh my God, I have to face today, especially if it's Monday, by the way. But that's the first thing I have to say to myself. No, don't go there. Don't say that, what is it? This is what I need to do in my life today. The first thought to create is a thought of appreciation. Sometimes you can also call it gratitude. All I'm doing is I'm reminding myself I was able to rest well tonight. I have a place to live which is comfortable. I can go and cook whatever I need to cook. I'm able to fulfill that need in my life. I'm able to go, maybe work, maybe not work, but people who are in my life, I can talk to them over the phone. I can go and meet them, obviously with a social distance now than before. I can go out for a walk and just feel the freshness of the air. There are so many things which we take it for granted that we are able to do, and they don't cost anything. But all I need to do is bring about the appreciation. Even sometimes family members, we need to appreciate them. And even in the family members, there may be one person with whom I have difficulty, or maybe people I work with, maybe one individual with whom I have a difficulty. But just to actually appreciate and say, you know what, at least I have a brother who may be difficult to work with or to deal with, to be with, but someone who is there, who may do a little bit, but at least is doing something, or a sister. And so when I begin to change my thought, the seed, and appreciate things which are in my life every single day, and you can try this if you like from tomorrow morning, when you wake up, just think of 10 things that you could be grateful to, which you have in your life. And every single day you do that and see the change it makes. It changes my feelings because the thought is a seed, and depending on that seed is my feelings. And then based on my feeling is my act. So my outcome and my experience. So when I say, I'm going to go back to the negative side, instead of appreciation, I reject someone. The feeling of rejection makes me feel distant, walk away. Don't be in the same room. You go in this room, I go in that room. My whole behavior changes, my mannerism changes, my way of working with each other changes. But appreciation, no matter what someone is like, instantly makes me feel at ease. So my feelings for my own self and my feelings for the other person, who may be just my life or a situation, that changes by which I'm able to bring out the right outcome. So clear thinking is basically telling me, bring wisdom into it. What wisdom? The wisdom of knowing I have these qualities with which I can live my life. Appreciation. Let's look at another one. Kindness. Beautiful quality in our life. And I think this period, which we have all gone through for probably now, I think 15 months of lockdown, can't remember exactly how long, could be, or could be just under. We have just seen thousands acts of kindness by people from all background, by all different individuals. And it's an amazing, amazing. What does it do? That act of kindness makes you want to live, makes you want to care, makes you want to support, makes you want to engage. Completely different from being unkind. Just imagine, like I gave the example on the other side, other slide. One unkind word that came out made the other person feel negative, rejected, and thereby led them into reactions, disturbed their mind, made a mess of their mind, and anger came out. Acts of kindness doesn't mean I have to go and give something to someone physically. That's not the act of, that's not wrong, nothing wrong at all. And each one of us, we have it, but sometimes we only apply this kindness based on occasions, birthdays, marriage ceremonies, for example, or sometimes even in hospital when people are not well and we go there, and what we do, we go and take them a box of chocolate or flowers. But actually, that box of chocolate doesn't last long for that person if they really love chocolate. Flowers don't stay for long. But what the other person appreciates your act of kindness by going to see them. They liked that box of chocolate you brought, but seeing you, you acknowledging them, thinking about them, saying kind words. We want you back. Come on, get better soon. That act of kindness makes that person literally wants to jump out of the bed and say, I'm coming with you now, take me. Not that it's possible. They have to go through medical checkup and all the rest of it. What I'm saying is the act of kindness brings life into people. The acts of unkindness makes you want to shrink, literally, hide, creates fear, worries. So the seed, which is the thought, is so important in our life to bring out the right fruit, which is the right experience, the right outcome, not just in my life, but in the life of people with whom I live, with whom I work, with whom I socialize, with whom I even meet at different places in my life. Let's take forgiveness, quite a big one actually. A lot of people struggle with forgiveness. And sometimes this word forgiveness also applies to me. We talk about forgiveness because someone has made a mistake in my life, or I have made a mistake with someone in my life, and we struggle to forgive ourselves, or we struggle to forgive that person, the other individual. But this seed, forgiveness, is so important part of our life. Reason is, when we can't forgive, it is very difficult to forget something which I have done wrong 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I can't forget because I've not been able to forgive myself for it. Something that someone else has done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I can't forget, can't let go of it. In my mind, this unclear thinking goes on. Why did it happen? Should have never happened. It was his fault or her fault. I battle internally. And as I keep battling internally, my quality of life doesn't bring out the goodness. I feel unhappy. I feel rejected sometimes, not loved, not liked, worries. Those things appear in my life. But how do I bring about forgiveness into my life? What is the way in which I do? And if I go back to that clear thinking, which basically says wisdom with which I think, if it's me that I struggle to forgive my own self, I have to go back and say, look, you can't do anything now. You made a mistake. You may not have intended to, but you have done. Let go of it. Put things right now. Change internally to bring the right things into your life. If it was somebody else, for example, I can't go back. They can't go back and put it right. It's something which has happened a long time ago. Let me let go of that. Let me enable myself through forgiveness to forget so that I can then live in the present. Otherwise, often what I do is I am living in the past and not in present as a result of this. So being in the present is far more important than thinking of the past and worrying about the future. But if I'm able, through that positive seed in my life, forgiveness, to let go and move on and begin to live in the present, then I can change so many things in my life. It's an incredible positive change that I can create because now my mind is clear. It's not holding on to that rubbish that I was holding on to. It's not in a state of confusion anymore. It's not messy. It's very clean inside. And so forgiveness is an important part of our life. Last one, then we'll move forward. Love. Probably the most important quality of our life. I often say to myself and to people who I live with, I work with, I meet them, I would say life is love. Not having love is not having life. Sometimes it feels stronger to say these sort of things, but I value love so much in my life. I value love in other people's life. I want to be able to share that. But love doesn't just mean, which we have seen in today's world, in the present world, where it's just two people, or it's basically based on just the fact of the physical side. But love is unconditional. Love doesn't have any boundaries. Love basically says to be able to share the goodness that lies in you and the goodness that you see in others. We're actually born in the world to experience love. And I know often that's not the case, but that's the purpose of love, because where there's love, then all this thing that I'm sharing with you, this positive seeds of life on the screen of my mind, they all become active. In other words, they all begin to function. Respect, trust, honesty, humility. Sometimes people think people will take advantage of me. Quite the opposite. It's the greatest way of being. Kindness, appreciation, understanding. These things just appear into my life when I keep love in front of me, which I'm talking unconditional love. That which does not expect anything from anyone, but is able to give. Where I'm not having demands on others, I don't control others. That's called unconditional love. And as I keep doing that, if I keep planting this seed, then all the other ones that we talked about earlier, the messy seeds of our life, which creates anger, or I blame people. How often we do that? Someone says something and they say, well, you done something wrong. And we say, wait a second. They may just say one thing you've done wrong. We come back and say, you've done these 10 things wrong. Straight away, we're breaking our love for each other, our respect for each other, our kindness for each other by doing it. And it's not our fault, because for too long, we have been in this way of working, in this way of thinking. And what we need to do is to make that change, begin to plant, begin to bring onto our screen of mind these beautiful qualities, so that we can then function from that rather than function from the unkind way which we looked earlier. So before we move forward, I think, Margaret, if there are, what I'll do, I'll stop this sharing now. And if there are any questions from anyone so far regarding whatever I've shared, quite happy to take those questions now, because it'll be nice to kind of end with a short meditation on this topic of clear thinking. So, Margaret, I don't know if there are any questions.
At the moment, no. We've got thanks for a nice talk.
Okay.
But no, we've put on there if anyone wants to post any questions, but Not at the moment. There are nothing coming through. I think
Nothing coming.
actually what you're saying is very clear. Like
Thank you.
you're saying clear thinking. You're making it clear and people are thinking about it. So you're clearing their minds so that they don't have the questions, because it's the questions that tend to mess up your mind.
That's true. I think there's two ways of looking at that, Margaret, isn't there? One is that I question something to get the clarity of it and to move on. And then, like you said earlier, sometimes we question too much. Why? This should have never happened. What was the reason behind it? And as we keep questioning all of those things, it creates a bit of a mess in the mind. And the mind becomes messy, and then it's very, very difficult. It is, sometimes it can become too heavy, but I would say it's not heavy to think that the quality of my thought will create the quality of my life. Now, for example, if I look at my quality of life and I'm not too happy with it, it's not too late. From today, okay, maybe from tomorrow, but I'm saying from today, I can make the difference. I can change the way I think. How can I do it? Sometimes people say you can't because it's too much. It's so much has gone inside me. I can't change. I can't think differently. The habit is so strong for me to think and overthink and keep reacting on what I think. But what I would say is just take the moment. Just allow yourself those few seconds each day to look inside and say, what is going on that screen of my mind? That has to go out. It's rubbish. It's messy. Don't want to go there. That looks clean and clear. Let's take that aboard. And when I'm in a difficult place, I can see someone's chat here. If rejection is showing up in your life, it's gone too quickly for me. So maybe if I can, or maybe Margaret can tell me the
I've got them for you.
Okay.
There's two on rejection.
Okay.
One is, I have felt very rejected by someone and don't know the reason why, and I can't stop thinking about it. And then the other one is, if rejection is showing up in your life, what is this showing? And what is the process of yielding better?
Good questions, really, really good questions. And maybe I can answer both of them in one way. One thing I have to do is that to bring about the change from rejection to acceptance, from maybe say dislike to love, I have to become strong inside first and foremost and say to myself, I have no idea why this person or this individual is rejecting me. And I can see that rejection in the way they speak, in the behavior, in their mannerism. It's so visible to me, but I have got no idea the cause for it. Having accepted that, the next thing I need to do is to say to myself, the way out of this is not to question anymore now. The answer does not lie in questioning. Why? What is the reason? What can I do? And sometimes what we try and do, we sit with them, or we try and find a way to please them. And often it goes worse than better, because something which they're holding in their mind about you, they don't want to let go of it. And you are doing your utmost best to make that thing go away by giving some time, by talking, and it even goes more worse. So the best thing to do is give yourself a couple of months whereby you are saying to yourself inside, don't think about that person. In other words, don't take in their rejection. Don't allow that hurt to get inside you. Every time your mind questions why, you say full stop. No more questions. Let me think about them in a better way, because when I think of them from the place of hurt, I'm increasing the rejection between two of us. But if I begin to think from the place of acceptance and a place of it's fine, put a full stop to it, doesn't really matter, I am not thinking from the place of hurt, then my love for that individual, even though it doesn't have that warmth, but it's there, and gradually it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. And sometimes it's possible, not always, but sometimes it's possible that that love from my thought becomes the means to clear whatever they are holding in their mind about me, for which there is rejection. So that's one way of doing it. But the second thing is that sometimes I do have to accept in my life that not everybody will like me. And so it's okay if one person is rejecting, as long as it's not someone I live with, or it's not someone who is too close to me. It could be my work colleague or a friend maybe. And sometimes I have to say, it's not a problem. If one person doesn't like me, it's fine. Let me just carry on. Because sometimes what we do, from 10 people, I'm just throwing a figure here, from 10 people who are in my life, with 9 people I get on well. So with each individual, but some great, some not so, but it's fine. One person is a troublemaker. They cause the rejection in my life, hurt in my life. And I'm thinking of that one person so much, and I'm forgetting the other 9 people who are in my life with whom I have a great relationship. So what I need to do is, I mustn't think of that one person who rejects me in a negative way and reject them. No, I don't do that. But I allow my relationship to flourish with the 9 people. And in time, it may happen that that person changes. But if it doesn't, it's also fine. I have to accept that not everybody will like me. But that doesn't mean I keep banging my head against that one person. And in doing so, I actually reject the other 9 people who are in my life. I make a mess of them with the other 9 people. So I hope that helps that particular question.
Thank you, Mukesh. Beautiful answer. I hope that satisfied the person that asked it. There is another one here. How to stop overthinking.
How to stop overthinking. One of the methods would be that, if possible, in your house or in your flat, wherever you live, find a little space, just a little corner where you can just sit every single day for a few minutes, 5 minutes maybe, if possible, first thing in the morning. And what you do is you sit there, and the whole purpose for you at that point is think nice thought. Think few thoughts. And if you struggle to think few thoughts, like I'm calling them nice thought, positive thought, write them down on a piece of paper. It's equally strong sometimes. So that 5 minutes, I'm just writing down these positive thoughts. Appreciation, what does that mean? How do I appreciate me to begin with? How do I appreciate the person I live with? And you're writing those things down. And in that way, you are creating within you that positive energy, which will then gradually stop the too much thinking, which I do. It's like I need to plant seeds of positive, slow thoughts to take away the fast running thoughts. And when I do that, what actually happens is that in the little space that I'm doing it every single day, contemplation, affirmation, meditation, whatever you want to call it, I'm creating an energy around me in the little corner of the house or flat. And I carry on for some time. Excuse me. One day, I say to myself, my mind, my head is right in a mess. I'm thinking and thinking and overthinking. I just can't control. I can't even think straight. And you go and sit down in that place where you've been doing it. You know what happens? You can't think, but the energy which you have created in the little area, that energy helps your mind to slow down. It's like all of a sudden you become quiet and still and calm. So it's like two ways. My kind, positive thought, I need to think to create the energy to slow my mind. And when I've done that for a long time, that energy helps my mind to become quiet again. And you can try this and see what is your experience. Okay, Margaret?
I think so, yes. That's all for questions.
Thank you.
Moment. Thank you.
So I think it's nearly coming to 6 o'clock. So maybe what I can do is just maybe shave for 2-3 minutes, depending on the time. Is that okay? Or
yes,
are we running out of time now?
It's fine.
Okay, so just 2-3 minutes of what I would call a reflection or meditation, basically. And all you need to do is just sit comfortably wherever you are sitting, but keep your body alert. And equally, if you want, you can either keep your eyes open or you can close your eyes. It doesn't really matter if your eyes are open. Just keep the eyes rested on something you can see behind me, the plant, the little, like a swan at the back, wherever you feel comfortable. And I will just share with you a few thoughts which you can just listen to and stay with it as much as possible. And anytime your mind goes somewhere else, just gently bring it back to what I'm sharing with you. So I just sit comfortably and relax my whole body. And once I have relaxed my body, no longer my focus is on this physical form of mine, the body. It's almost like I step away from this physical form of mind and become aware of the thinking energy that I am. And as I become aware of my thinking energy, my thoughts, I give myself the permission for the next few moments. Let me not think of my roles, my responsibilities, my past, the memories that I hold inside. Let me step away. It's almost like I'm moving away from all of those thoughts and the memories. And I find a place within me, a place of stillness, a place of calmness, a place which is peaceful. And in this place of peaceful, in a very gentle way, I remind myself, this is who I am. I'm a being of peace. Peace is my thoughts. Peace is my expressions. Peace is my act in my life. Let me this thought of being peace flow into my body, just like the blood flows in my body. I allow the vibrations of this peace flow into my body so that the eyes become peaceful. My face becomes peaceful. My whole physical body feels the vibrations, the atmosphere of peace. And I remind myself that when you come back into the roles of your life and you have to fulfill the roles of your life and the responsibility, let me not forget that peace exists, not just in your mind, in your thought, but it exists in your eyes, in your face, in your hands. And let me therefore express my words, my actions by being peaceful. Just for a few seconds, I hold that visualization of me becoming peaceful within me so that I can remember whenever I need to go back to it, I can go back to it. Thank you.